Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do on this beautiful Sydney summer's day is to go through a book entitled 1,000 Splendid Suns. This book was published on the 22nd of May 2007 by an author named Khaled Hosseini. There is a moment in every unforgettable novel where the world stands still. In 1,000 Splendid Suns, it happens in an act of silent rebellion, a quiet, shared glance between two women who have endured unspeakable abuse, who have been robbed of choice but refuse to let their spirits be stolen. Across the suffocating walls of their shared home, Miriam and Layla form a bond that defies the cruelty of their captor, the weight of societal expectations, and the violence of war. In that moment, the story isn't just about survival, it's about love in its most raw, resilient, and transformative form. Khaled Hosseini's masterpiece is more than a tale of two women. It's a story of Afghanistan itself, its beauty, its pain, its history, and its unyielding spirit, as seen through the eyes of its daughters. With every word, he honours the quiet strength of women who endure more than the world can ever imagine, and who give more than the world deserves. So the first key message to come from this book is the legacy of endurance. Through Miriam and Layla, Hosseini unravels the inherited strength of women who face unrelenting hardship. Miriam's life is shaped by rejection and shame, while Layla's is scarred by loss and war. Yet both women endure with a grace that feels almost sacred. The novel reminds us that women carry generations of pain, but also generations of power. Power to endure, power to love, and power to rise above their circumstances. The second key point is the garden of the female spirit. Hosseini paints the inner lives of women with profound tenderness. Kabul, like the women of this story, has been broken by war, but refuses to surrender its beauty. Through Miriam and Layla, we see how hope can bloom in the most desolate of places, and how even in the face of oppression, the human spirit finds ways to flourish. Hosseini's writing reminds us that no matter how harsh the soil, some seeds of hope always take root. We look at survival as an act of defiance. Miriam's journey is a lesson in quiet rebellion. Her life may seem like a series of losses, but her survival is an act of resistance in itself. Hosseini shows us that sometimes strength isn't loud or visible. It's the ability to endure, to protect others, and to keep going even when the world offers no mercy. Miriam teaches us that survival isn't just about living, it's about holding on to dignity and humanity in the face of overwhelming cruelty. The author goes on to talk about the sacred sacrifices of motherhood. At its heart, the novel is a love letter to mothers, but Hosseini doesn't romanticize motherhood. He shows it in its rawest, most painful and most selfless form. Through Miriam and Layla's relationship, we see how motherhood can transcend biology, become an act of courage and sacrifice. Their love for each other and for Layla's children becomes a sanctuary in a world filled with dreaded violence, and their sacrifices redefine what it means to be a mother. And the last key point to come from this book is where we look at the cost of war in women's lives. Hosseini doesn't shy away from showing the brutal impact of war, particularly on women. The novel calculates the cost of violence, not in numbers or statistics, but in broken lives, lost dreams, and lost and stolen childhoods. Yet even as it lays bare the horrors of war, it also highlights the resilience of women who continue to fight for their families, their dignity, and their futures. Years after reading 1,000 Splendid Suns, it's not the violence or the tragedies that linger in one's mind. It's the quiet moments of hope, the laughter of children amongst the rubble of war, the gentle touch of a mother's hand on her child's cheek, the bond between two women who refuse to break, even when the world tries to crush them. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club on this magnificent morning here at Sydney University, a place, an educational institution that I attended back in the late 70s and early 80s, and a place that I'll never ever forget. Wishing you all the best, and I look forward to coming to you again from another place with another message of empowerment, where we take books like this one that we've just gone through and try and learn from other people's experience, OPE, and to take the knowledge and the wisdom and to try and incorporate it into our own skill sets to be used as a reference point, as a baseline, as a benchmark to compare our experiences to, and to also show gratitude to the fact that we've grown up in a beautiful country that hasn't been terrorised by war like some other countries. Take care. Bye for now.